Hello there, folks. We're back again with another How to Be a Superhero story for you today. Today, I'm really excited to interview my long-term friend, Nathan Segala. Nathan is a brilliantly talented artist and designer from Uganda who has really struggled through some very difficult situations, including violence with a shooting at his university, times when he's been robbed, times that he's had horrible experiences even as a child with the regime in Uganda that he's grown up underneath, dealing with some of the struggles of coming out of extreme poverty to try to further his goals and also be able to be in a place where he can help others. Today, he's going to talk with you about different ways that he has found to escape some of the local economy by freelancing online. And so this is going to be kind of a fun how-to today, where we're going to talk about how you can take advantage of some of these different tools that may be available to you to start seizing your dreams. So with that, Nathan, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and some of the challenges you've been facing in the past couple years.
Hi everyone. So background. Okay, so I grew up in a small town near the city. It's called Magere. It was very undeveloped during the days when I was growing up, and we used to have to wake up very early in the morning with my mom and my brother to go to school. I think she used to wake us up like at 5 a.m. Actually, no, 4 a.m. because I remember we would reach school at 5 a.m. and we'd only be like 3 kids in the whole school, and we'd have to wait for everyone to come in around 6, 7. So as I grew older, we moved closer to town, my grandmother's place. That's where I did most of my high school. That's where I've been doing my university. And that is where I got online because I had the passion for art, but I wouldn't earn anything from it, and I wasn't earning anything. So I always had the desire to try and help my mom out because I didn't see why. I had a unique skill that I could use to earn money, and then my mom would struggle to have money. So yes, I got online, tried a few sites, nothing ever came up. Tried emailing a few people, nothing happened. And then luckily one day I applied for a comic gig on Upwork, and a stranger called Jen replied, and she gave me the opportunity to learn, to earn, and also to continue doing my passion. From that moment on, I started learning a lot more about how to earn money online as a creative. So besides just drawing comics, I got into doing design because at the time that it has more market than drawing comics. And then from design, I learned about marketing, I learned about advertising, and ever since then, I've been getting more clients online for advertising. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what has been the because you've told me really a lot of rough things have happened kind of along the way with a lot of bumps and stops before you were really able to start earning, and one of those has been a lot of government corruption and some kind of violence in your area. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges going to university a couple years ago with the shootings and some of the things going on with the police?
Yeah. Let me start with something that a near-death experience, let's say. It was, I think, 2011. I was 13 years old, and there was this really violent riot in town. An opposition leader of a political party was expressing his disagreement with the government, so he decided to go on the road and walk to work. Now everyone was following him. There was a huge crowd, and then the police started shooting at the crowd. They were shooting live bullets at the crowd. So as a kid, I was in town innocently trying to buy movies. And I ended up being one of the victims of the gunshot. Um, I was shot in the back.
Wow.
The bullet did not come out, so I had to be rushed to hospital. Funny thing is, when we reached the hospital, they refused us from entering. I don't know. But I passed out at the entrance, and then after a few hours, I woke up inside the hospital, and my mom was there, family was there. And just to give you a picture of how things are in the medical care of Uganda, it took 2 weeks for me to be operated.
Oh, wow.
And all that time, the bullet was in my body. So I wonder how I survived. I thank God. And yeah, the police came and they took the bullet as a way of covering up, because then we had no evidence against them.
Wow.
Yeah, but luckily I survived that. And then fast forward a few years later, I was involved in a riot at my university where a fellow student of ours was beaten up and violated because she was not happy with how the university kept on increasing the tuition fees abruptly. Like this semester, you're paying this much, and then the next semester, it's like 50 times more. And your parents are supposed to figure out all that money just out of the blue. And it was a very bad riot. A lot of students were hurt, beyond some died, and the unfortunate thing is most of them were female.
Yes. I remember you told me at that time it started out there was a peaceful protest because the women were protesting that they were being recommended to pay for their tuition with sex.
Yes.
And so they were protesting about that when it became violent because of police involvement.
Yeah, and the police would not, they used really, really, really harsh means for a peaceful protest. I mean, why would you use live bullets for a peaceful protest by students?
Yeah.
Well, and the most annoying thing is that even after that, the same thing still happens in the university. Girls are still forced into awkward positions just because they can't afford to pay tuition, or they have all these papers they have to redo, but the professors keep taking advantage of them. So even after all that, it's still a problem. It's still something that continues going on, and it's a frustration. But yeah.
And I remember you had to go into hiding for a little bit. I was worried, kind of lost contact with you for a little bit because you had to go into hiding because they were hunting down university students who had been involved in the protests.
We recorded videos. I think I shared some of those with you.
And they didn't want that. Yeah.
They saw the room that had video recordings, and so they tracked down the names of the people who lived in that room.
Yeah.
So they tried to find us, but we had to go really far from town.
Yes.
And to now, it's still ongoing, but someone paid. One of us had wealthy parents, so they paid off someone, so that they stopped looking for us. But the case is still there.
Wow.
So we still have to be very careful. You never know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So does that mean then also, do we have to be careful just for the purposes of this this interview? Because I have those recordings. Do we have to not release them because for your safety still?
It depends on who's going to view.
Yeah. But like if we're putting this up on YouTube, we have to keep those recordings still? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So we won't include, because I had thought about, since we have those and we have the ones with the bullet shots too. Actually, if you can resend them to me also for safekeeping too, because
Okay.
I have them, but I want to make sure that I still have them regardless of what happened, because some of them you sent me on WhatsApp. But yeah, I mean, so it's, we have these ongoing safety issues,
Mm.
just because, and I can't imagine, and it's so terrible, like women being, raped just because, they, protest about a tuition, or because they can't afford to pay something for school. So it's obviously a very rough and very difficult situation, where
Mm.
you are. And then around the same time, I think it was a couple months before some of this went down in the university, you then got robbed also. So it's not
Yeah,
just the police you
actually,
have
it
to
was a
deal
few
with, it's
months
your own
before.
generation too. So yeah,
Yeah.
so tell the folks at home a little bit about that.
So a few months before that whole issue with the police, I came back home and I usually work most of the night. So I left the laptop on my desk. I left my drawing tablet and a few textbooks and magazines and stuff like that. And I slept. So I don't recall very well, but all I remember is I had a funny smell, right? And I completely blacked out. And then I woke up at around midday, and my window had been like the bars had been they cut them and then they kind of pulled them apart.
Yes.
And then the person reached out, took the laptop, took some other stuff of mine, and yeah, they left.
And I
But
think
I
you
woke up
also sent me at that
that
time the
day.
pictures of the bars all cut up. Actually, if you can resend that to me so I can show it to the people, it was pretty. I don't know if you still have that picture, but it was pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
And
And
this
the
was
funny thing is, they left the charger of the laptop.
they weren't very smart.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. Maybe someone woke up and they decided to run. So yes, luckily my drawing tablet survived. I don't know what I'll do without that thing. But, yeah,
They probably didn't know what it was,
yes.
honestly. But the criminals are not always very smart. But the computer really set us back, because
Yeah.
it was a big, and I remember getting the message from you that, like, well, you weren't going to be able to work anymore. It was kind of almost like a goodbye message.
It was a
um,
good thing.
it was, well, but I'm not going to be able to work anymore, with international people. I don't have a laptop anymore, sorry. That's it. So it was a heartbreaking, like, goodbye message. It was really
Yeah,
sad.
it
um
was bad.
so it but that's something that you overcame, and you worked and earned up some, and then the people on the superhero alert helped out. The superhero
Yes,
alert
thanks to
helped
them, I
out.
was able to get back in business. Thanks
Mhm.
to you.
Well, and thanks to yourself, because you worked hard for it, and then you worked hard to make up the part that was missing too.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it was a big setback, right? It was it was so it's a lot of things that have been happening to you. Nothing has been handed to you. Everything in your life you've kind of had to fight for, right? And so I kind of want to ask a little bit, what's been kind of your impetus, to keep going and keep fighting for your design dream? What's your ultimate dream? What's kind of your ultimate dream and plan, and what's kind of your spiritual driving force?
Um, my ultimate dream is to end up in a position whereby I can help as much as I can. I can help someone who has it worse than me, because that's the majority of people I've grown up seeing. So besides that, I do want to eventually move to Canada. Why? Because I feel like there creatively I can earn more, I can do more with the money that I get than here in Uganda. Why? Because here people still perceive creativity for the things that I do as not worth a lot, right? And I think in the West, that's one thing that they have really appreciated well. It's um, creative work. So I do plan on moving to Canada. I do plan on making or working towards a position I can help a lot, because what drives me is seeing a child on the street who has no food in a country that is blessed with food. It doesn't make sense. And the worst part is there is nothing I can do about it. The little I can do is not enough, because fine, I can help him for a few days, but I want to be able to help him to get him out of that situation, or at least help him get himself out of that situation. So that's really a strong driving force. You know where I used to live? I would walk past children who used to sleep on the streets. To this day, they're still there. I still find them. And it's like a constant reminder that you might have things hard, but what about him? And what are you doing to help him? So it just keeps me going and going and going, because I see them almost every single day.
Yes.
I mean, they're everywhere. Yeah.
That's really hard. That's really, yeah. Do you so what are some of the things you've found as you've been trying to, be able to have more resources so that you can do, so that you can do more, right? Because we were talking before before this interview, basically about how if you have to pay rent, what you get paid monthly is less than your total. Those of you tuning in from home, Nathan, after a lot of different work, has finally has actually landed a larger design firm in Uganda that's hired him to do their designs. And this is after, this is coming from completely freelancing and not having those options. And in one case, being really abused by one company that actually wanted him to stop going to school and had him working for something like, what was it? It was like for 30, what was the total? It was like for 30 hours, you had, you would earn like less than, I don't know, it wasn't enough to live on per week. What was it that they were having you pay? And they were also saying you couldn't go to school.
So that agency, well, it wasn't even consistent payment. It was just, well, if the month was good and they made money, I'd get about $30 for that month.
Yeah, so there you go, $30 a month maybe. So, and which is not enough to live. So the cost of living in Uganda is lower than a lot of where a lot of you viewers are tuning into, but that's not enough. It's going to be at least $110 a month to have a rent and to eat. And so
that's minimum.
Yeah. So that was not even a living wage. And he was having to work 50, 60 hours a week, and was being told he wasn't allowed to go to school. Even though on top of that, he's trying to save up and pay for school. And school is like $500 a semester. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That's inclusive of all the textbooks and what. Yeah.
So you're talking about situations where you really can't make enough money from one gig. So what does Nathan do? Well, there's what he's doing is he kind of gathers up other opportunities and does really more like gig work and freelance work. And this is something that's becoming increasingly common on the continent. Is to pull in gig work in order to supplement an income and have more control over your income instead of working for, so where you're almost kind of working for yourself for clients, instead of working for an agency that's going to abuse you, having you work full time and you're not even getting paid $30 a month, which is, insane. So tell us a little bit about how you started getting other gigs, different places you started to promote yourself, and how you even got the idea to, you and I met on Upwork, but how did you even get the idea to go on Upwork? And then what are other gigs? How have other people found you? I know you've mentioned being found on Instagram as well.
Yeah. So it reached a point whereby I wasn't making enough with the job I was at to do anything. Like I was just working for transport money. So I had to figure out, okay, what else can I do to make money aside from relying from one source of income? Um, so I went online and I tried looking up work from home gigs. I tried looking up online jobs that could help me earn money. And then that's how I came across a bunch of websites that can help you find work online, like Upwork, like freelancer.com. There's quite many. There's Behance. So basically what you do is you upload your profile, you show your portfolio and what you can do, and then you start applying for all these different jobs that are posted by different people. Um, so yes, I got into that. Then I don't know if you remember, there's a marketing booklet you sent. Um, it was through that booklet that I kind of got into advertising. So what I did was I started reaching out to small businesses online, and I would offer them design services for free for a period of time so that they could see if what I did for them was needed or not. And through that, I started doing Facebook ads for those small businesses, and I started earning a little bit of money. But as time went on, those ads actually created value for those businesses. So it started making more money now since they saw more value. Yes, that's how uh, I've been able to do that.
That's good. I actually didn't know that the Facebook ads thing worked out because I know the one guy we were trying to work with didn't want to do Facebook ads anymore. But you did. You were able to pull in other clients through that anyway.
Yeah, so I was. Remember the fashion thing? Yeah, that really worked out.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's
Really, yeah.
phenomenal. That makes me glad. Um, that's
And
awesome.
funny, that's the one person who thought he couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure, but that's just goes to show you can't write any opportunity or anybody because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. That makes me very glad. And then I know also that other people had seen your profile on Instagram. That was how you got one of your gigs, right? Um, or that was how you got that crappy job, right? The bad job. But
That's
people have seen your
absolutely
stuff on
part of
Instagram, right?
like someone will see your designs and they will DM you and tell you how much you charge for a logo, how much you charge for branding. Yeah, so Instagram is really actually a unique place to find gigs, especially in Uganda or in Africa. Why? Because there's so many people on Instagram, and you find that some of those people own a small business or they own a side hustle, and they're looking for cheap means to have advertising or graphics. So there's actually a good number of people on Instagram that would hire someone for design, and I
Yes.
think yeah, it's something most people don't actually think about.
Well, and I think I found that kind of surprising, but I mean, it's phenomenal because people also are searching by area. So people who want somebody who's local to them will be looking for that. And then I think you mentioned pricing, right, and being cheap. I think that's one advantage that people that I think newbies. First, it's an advantage that a new person has trying to break into any kind of online work is that they can undercharge. And another advantage that you have if you're in there's a lot of disadvantages if you're in a country where your local economy is not good. But
Yeah,
one advantage is that because cost of living is lower, you can significantly undercharge some of these other folks around the same time. And this is from a business owner's perspective, around the same time that actually a couple maybe within the year after you and I started working together, I was also, I was looking around for other freelancers to do things for me like web design or like data
yeah,
mining. So even if you're not good at design, there's other options, right? I needed somebody to do something really simple, which was just use the software that I had to collect
yeah,
emails from websites, right? I needed someone to do data mining. And I had there was at one point a U.S. college student that I was trying to pay to do that, and she couldn't get the job done, and she was
Wow.
expensive. And so, and I know it was kind of a difficult job. I think no one was really able to do that job in the end. Like you helped out a little bit, and I had a guy from the Middle East help out a little bit, but in the end I really had to do it because what I was trying to create was I was creating the comics contact list, which we'll talk about some other time. What I was
Oh,
kind of create was kind of involved, but like the ability that other guy had and you had to get the work done, and undercut her really made me feel like, and also you complained less and just did the work. It made me not want to hire an American ever again, which is not, and that I know that might make people angry. I don't discriminate in my hiring practices. Everyone equal, but,
yeah.
but honestly, like, the ability to work hard and undercut because of the local economy while still earning a fair wage, because it's easier for me to pay a fair wage when I don't have a lot of money, in a place where, the local economy is not, doesn't have as high a cost of living, because it's important to pay people fairly, right? And pay fairly so that people can have a living wage. And so that living cost is going to really determine in some ways what is a fair wage. And so
Yeah.
that's an advantage I think a lot of people, need to be taking advantage of, is that, like, as you get on into the online economy, you can undercut people who have had advantages all their life, right? Like, she probably had her college paid for her. She most likely, coming from a high income country, most likely had a lot of advantages. And I'm not saying everyone does, right? A lot of people in there are people in the US who are struggling.
That's true.
Like, not everyone in a high income country is doing well. But most likely she hadn't been shot in the back as a 13-year-old, as an 11-year-old, and doesn't have the kind of disadvantages that you've had. But the advantage that you have, over her, is that the cost of living is lower. And then, of course, a bigger advantage is an advantage of character. Like, you've always, I mean, but that's just you. You've been like my favorite person to work with, because you
Oh,
work
thank
really
you so much.
hard. You do fast turnaround, and you're,
That means a
um,
lot.
well, it's true. You get stuff done. And even when you're just learning, because I mean, that's the disadvantage of working when you're just learning, is there's a lot of things that sometimes have to be changed and everything else like that. But you've turned that into an advantage, in that you've used it to demonstrate how quick you are to do feedback and how quick you are to work and fix things. And then how you can strive for excellence, like you keep doing revisions and those kind of, and so it's, in some ways, you have had the intelligence to turn your disadvantages into advantages, where, okay, you're in a low income situation, but then you're going to use that to undercut, the competition. Maybe you're newer or you're just learning. You're going to use that as an opportunity to demonstrate how you're going to strive for perfection, how you'll always do more revisions than the next guy. And I think, so I think one major takeaway I'd like for people to have watching this video is, if you take away nothing else, think about how to turn your disadvantages into advantages. And it's kind of like, Tai Chi. In Tai Chi, unlike many other martial arts, you want to use your opponent's energy against you. He might, like, whereas in another martial art, he might punch you and you might block,
Yeah.
oppose his energy with your energy. In Tai Chi, he might punch you and you'll take his arm and sidestep him and side drag him,
Oh,
right? So you use
interesting.
his energy against you. And it's the same kind of thing as life is hitting you. Maybe sometimes you don't fight back. Maybe you sidestep and use the
Mm.
bad stuff that life throws at you to do good. And that's something I've admired about you for a long time, is you've always been willing to get back up and keep going, and use your disadvantages as an advantage. And I think that's what makes you inspiring. Are there any other takeaways you would like to give to people, watching this, who maybe don't have a lot of advantages, but would like to kind of work on trying to pursue their dreams?
Yes, I have just one that not having, how can I put it? This goes out to mostly people from Africa because of the way the world thinks about us. You are not born black and poor. You're just born poor. So it is up to you to shape how the world is going to see us for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And it's a huge responsibility, but it's ours, and we can't do things the same way that those before us have. We have to do better. Good luck.
Wow, that's heavy. That's very heavy. Thank you so much for your thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today and for sharing
You're
your
very welcome.
experiences. It's awesome how I don't know, I can't say enough good things about you. You're just you've been a great friend and a comfort as well, with all the things that have been going on in my life, and you've been there for several years now. How many years has it been? Have it been four years,
3 years?
maybe
Three.
three
2018, since
three
2018.
Yeah, so and it's been such an honor to be able to see how you push through some of the different things that are going on. Folks, if you would like to if you are from a excuse you, we were talking here. If you'd like to hire Nathan, Nathan does amazing cover designs. He did the cover redesign for Becoming Hero, and as well as for Heartbeat in the Hallways that came out recently. And if you would like to hire him for cover designs, he is excellent. He also did the logo for Tingle's Tea, which I think you'll agree is absolutely beautiful logo. Excuse me, can you get off my hand? If you can see right now, the camera image isn't good enough to see, but it's a really beautiful logo. And he actually did this image. He designed this image as well for these tins, like this really beautiful, fantastical image. And he does a lot of other really phenomenal design work. And so if you'd like to hire him, becominghero.ninja has a contact page for him. You just search Nathan Segala. Also in the description below, I'm going to put how you can get in touch with him for if you'd like to help continue to support his dream, while also getting yourself what you need to support your dream for your business, your advertisements, or so forth. Additionally, he does comic work, and he and I hopefully in the next couple months will be making something neat. You can see some of his comic work at becominghero.ninja/comic. And so definitely look him up. And if you're not in a hiring position, I really encourage you to look back at both this lesson and the other lesson on financing your dreams, and take notes and see how Nathan's example can help you make a list. I'm hoping to release this around the same time as the Financing Your Dreams video. As you kind of go through that video and make a list of things you can do, think about how the challenges in your life and how you can surmount them. And I think and let Nathan's story isn't over. So I hope that you'll follow him on Instagram at Nexus 2.0. But also, take a moment to feel, let yourself feel inspired, and let yourself think of ways that you can also continue to rise to the occasion. As always, I'm Jen. This is Pistachio, and we really appreciate you spending some time with us as we all learn together how we can better be heroes. Thank you, folks.